Hello, everyone. Welcome to Slasher's Paradise. That's Danny. Say hi, Danny.
Hello.
I'm Lance. Today we're talking about Halloween H20.
Why?
20 years later. This movie is got some really great actors in it and should be really great, but it's not.
It's not a great movie. I'm so sorry to say, when you're a fan like we are, fans first, you want to love everything. But I will say this about Halloween H20. It's not Halloween Resurrection.
That's saying something.
That's saying something. Halloween H20.
Give us the let's.
Oh, sure. Yes.
Do you want the pumpkin spice? We'll give the pumpkin spice latte of Halloween H20 before we go into the shit fest. Go.
So, the pumpkin spice latte for Halloween H20. Halloween H20 is called Halloween H20 because it is 20 years after the original.
How convenient. It doesn't have anything to do with water.
But wait. H2O is the scientific symbol or formula for water, which has a pH balance of 7.0, and it is the 7th installment.
Okay. And the tie-ins begin.
I read online. Look, this movie is picks up 20 years after the original, and it is retconning, or it is ignoring everything before it besides the original. Now, some may say that it is including part 2, but that is left gray. And the reason it does this is because not only is it picking up 20 years later with a very familiar face, we see returning to the series Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, who has now gone into the witness protection program, or has hidden her true identity of Laurie Strode, and is now going by Carrie Tate, who is the headmaster of a very posh, secluded private school in Northern California, where she and her introducing first movie ever son, played by Josh Hartnett, are living in hopes to hide from their true past and avoid Michael, whose body was never found. Needless to say, that doesn't happen. Michael returns. Michael Myers has returned 20 years later to finish what he started, and not only kill Laurie Strode, but to kill as well John Tate, or John Strode. Yeah. And that's pretty much it.
I just realized this is a gray area with Halloween 2 because it is still her brother. So Michael is still killing his family.
It is a gray area in the sense that, like, if 2 exists, there was a deliberate, crazy attempt to ignore that the man burned to a crisp.
Well, except for the fact in 6, Loomis had skin grafts, if you watched the right version of the movie, and totally. So maybe Michael and the cult fixed his hands.
But the cult is ignored.
It's ignored, but it, Danny, in my head, it all happened.
Sure.
Still.
It all happened. And you know what? They actually intended it for all of it to happen.
Right.
They wanted it all to happen.
4, 5, and 6 happened.
And 3. Screw it. It all happened. It all happened. So I think, first of all, look, H2O, it's a miracle that this movie was able to be made, first of all. You have courtships of trying to get John Carpenter to come back. Jamie Lee Curtis wanted him to come back. She was locked in. He wanted a 3-picture deal, apparently. Sad to say, this is being produced by Dimension, which is the Weinsteins. So there's a bit of their staple on it. It is what it is. But this movie did not get John Carpenter, even though he was heavily courted. I think the asking price was too high, and they were able to settle for another director. Name escapes me. I do know this. Their original writer, who gets the credit for the writing of the movie, had their script heavily rewritten.
Oh, yes.
Not only heavily rewritten, and not just rewritten, but rewritten by someone in particular, someone actually pretty important, Kevin Williamson, who is the pen for the Scream movies.
And let's talk about the Scream movies, because we talked about in Halloween 6, there's this, I feel like it's the beginning of the MTV era movie of horror movies, of Michael Myers movies, and the H2O is very much in depth of this. So Halloween 6 comes out in 1995, and there's a grunge feel to it. There's some MTV kind of stuff going on with it. And then 1996 happens, and it feels like slasher movies must be dead or something, and we get a resurgence with Scream. And then the following year, 1997, we get Scream 2 in the college dorms and all that kind of stuff. And now we're in 1998. And we get Scream 2.5 H2O Halloween. It is exactly everything about this movie feels like Scream. Where I remember the advertisements for this, because this is, for both of us, this is the first Halloween film we were old enough to go see in the theater.
That's right.
So I actually remember the trailers for us. I remember the excitement of like, fuck yeah, Michael Myers is back. I'm old enough to go see this. Let's go. I'm a huge fan at this point. And now, I'm advertised this sense of all these Psycho tie-ins, right? There's a lot going on with Psycho in this movie. There's a lot of references, and again, those punch in your face, like, get it? Psycho, Halloween, get it? But the whole movie feels like Scream. Everything about it, the soundtrack, the ambiance, everything about this movie just feels like, well, Scream worked. Let's put Michael Myers in like a Scream movie, and it just loses all identity. There's nothing really.
I feel like there is nothing, which isn't the worst thing if this was the only problem, that there's zero identity from what we should expect from a Halloween movie.
Right.
There's no tie-in. It's going to seem pretty sad, and we're going to be pretty sappy. We're going to shit on this movie, and you know what? Rightfully so. I think it's just... But look, let me just say all that to say this. When I watched this movie in theaters,
yes,
I was so fucking scared.
Yeah.
I was so scared.
Me too.
I remember sitting, and the theater was packed. It was packed.
Yep.
I remember the trailer just like you did. And now the face of good and the face of evil will meet one last time.
And let's talk about the trailer, because now we get the big trailer voice. And it's
yeah.
already got this blockbuster treatment. Like, this is like the 90s voice of trailers, and we got to deal with this shit. And it doesn't feel like a Halloween trailer, but it's still scary because...
It is still scary. And, you know, we've gone, you said it, 3 years with 4 years. No.
95 to 98.
So we've gone a while without actually having Michael, and we need Michael to fill our void of having this character that we fell in love with. So when this came out and it gets the big studio treatment, you're like, oh, finally.
Right.
But why finally? Why would we feel that way? Well, we're too young to know, you know, that it is the MTV generation. We are the MTV generation, you know.
Yeah.
They got us all with everything. I had the baggiest clothes. My hair wasn't great, you know. I listened to all of the music that you look back and you're like, ugh. All the girls had the pencil eyebrows. Michelle Williams,
yes,
Academy Award-winning Michelle Williams is in this movie.
Yes.
During her red hot stint of Dawson's Creek.
Yeah.
Because that's happening. And, you know, she's almost unrecognizable, but she's very young. Josh Hartnett, bless his vampire soul, looks exactly the same. I mean, he's very young, but this is Josh Hartnett's first movie ever.
Yeah. Was this released before? I think this was released after. So yet again, we have a Paul Rudd thing going on where this is the first one he filmed. He was filming this and Faculty at the same time.
I know this is his first credit.
Yes, and
yes.
I don't know if Faculty was released first, but
he looks almost identical, down to the hair,
for a reason.
Yeah. So, needless to say, folks, we mentioned that Halloween 6 in the previous one was going to be the last time you would see Donald Pleasance as Dr. Loomis. This would be the last time not the last time, but this would be a while before we even saw the character of Dr. Loomis appear. Donald Pleasance has passed away by this point, and now it is what has happened after him. So we get him in pictures. We get him in an imitation
by SpongeBob.
Is it the guy who does SpongeBob?
Yes.
Oh no.
Yes. I forget his name. I think I have it somewhere in notes.
Don't need it. Just this. It's that iconic monologue between him and Brackett in part 1, where well, it's also a mix of what is weird. It's also a mix of the monologue from part 2. No conscience, no reason. It was even remotely human. That's from part 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I met this 6-year-old child with a blind, pale, emotionless face. All that's from part 1, and they get this like posh English sort of imitation of it. To my untrained ears or like super fan ears at the time, I was okay. But look, back to when I was in the theater, the only seat we can get was in the second row, and this was
same. I was in the same fucking row.
Right? Oh my gosh, kindred spirits, dude. We were like, this was the journey that was going to culminate here.
Yeah,
it was. I was, it's the one where you're like,
and it's even worse because it's like, where the fuck do I look, man?
Exactly. And up to this point, I had been able to see Halloween in the comfort of my own home under my rules. These are my rules. I want to watch it when the sun is out, or maybe going down. I'm going to push it a little bit, but I'm developing some cojones, whatever. Let's go watch it in the theaters. I remember my uncle took me. The uncle's responsible for me loving Halloween to begin with. I owe everything to, so I'm like, I got to watch it with you. And the thing is, like, every time before then, you watch Halloween, and it's scary, but you're in your home and you're safe. This one, you're around. I'm around people, right? And I'll never forget. First of all, the movie opens. It's one of the nice highlights of the movie.
It's the only highlight for me, except for the credits hitting.
There are a couple of good scary moments here and there that were done pretty well, but some things are hard to ignore, like for the fact that they use like four different masks. We lost count, but anyway, back to that is bigger pardon. I'm sitting in the second row looking up, and I know the movie's starting. I know I'm about to see a Michael Myers movie, and I am just keep on saying to myself, shit, you're here. Do it. Just like trying to pump myself up. And not only is Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode returning, but we have a Nurse Chambers.
Yes.
Marion Chambers returning she's basically playing her character again, but she's in sort of like Scrubs. It's almost like she's the caretaker or caregiver. I forget what it is. It's referenced. It's inferred that has been Loomis's caregiver. So she's been taking care of him in his old age. They live in the same house. His office is there. So it opens with someone breaking into her house. And when she opens it, she kind of sees that there's a couple of broken things, something's going up, but I'll never forget that she kind of, looks around and is just like, no, I'm not doing this shit. Yeah. She's got like a fuck this face.
Yeah, which is great because this is a character that's seen this shit and goes, nope,
not going to do that shit.
I'm going next door.
Yeah. So she goes next door again. I keep on. It's weird because as you go through, you're like, and this person was in it, and this person, and you know what? We're not done because check it out. Who is her next door neighbor? She runs to for some help.
JGL.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt in his it's his in between years. He's not as young as Angels in the Outfield, but he's definitely not as old as Inception. So it's in between those years. So he's
it's like 17. Right after or during. No, it's right after his time with Third Rock.
Oh, yeah.
The TV show.
Yes.
But so this is the first time that we're seeing him not playing like a nerdy little kid. He's actually he's kind of cool for the time. He's kind of
cool. He's playing like this little street hockey dude with his friend. Again, they're like trying to we get it. You're making references to other things. We get it. But dumb. Of course I know who the director is. Steve Miner.
Yeah.
Directed it. We know Steve Miner from Friday the 13th. He directed part 2 and 3, I believe.
Yeah.
So Of course, Jimmy, and that's the character. The name is back of Jimmy. Maybe Jimmy. That's an homage to part 2.
Everything in this movie is a fucking homage.
It's either ripoffs or homages, whatever you want to say. But he's playing street hockey with his friend, and what does he have on? A hockey mask. You know, hey, remember Jason?
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah.
You remember the Jason? I'm wearing a hockey mask like Jason. It's funny. So anyway, he's tasked to go check out the house for Nurse Chambers, but they call the cops and
they'll be here in 15 minutes.
Easily over 15 minutes. The cops never fucking show up. Let's just be honest.
Well, I mean,
what?
I just want to mention one thing. On Jimmy's porch is a ton of not only Halloween decorations but like props. There's like dummies and shit in the background. You see smoke. Like he's got a fog machine.
He's got it all.
Jimmy's all about Halloween, which I love because
is he the one that had the Cenobite? Is it in this one?
Yes.
Is he of the set? Yeah, the Butterball, the chunky Cenobite from Hellraiser is just sitting on the porch like.
Oh God, I love that so much. Like Jimmy was like who I wanted to be in the next 3 years. Because he's kind of a badass. He dresses in the baggy clothes. He's like a cool kid. He's into Halloween like I am. I used to deck out my house in the exact same way.
Sure.
All that kind of shit. So I just love the fact like now the Halloween has like progressed and it's so realistic. And even Carrie Tate's car later on is the same car that I grew up in. My mom and dad both had the exact same car. So
Chevy Blazer, baby.
Yes. Anyway, back to this opening scene and how I actually like this, but continue.
Well, so you got Jimmy going and being this like knight in shining armor, so to speak. He's gonna investigate the house. It's gonna be revealed that someone not only has been in the house but has ransacked Dr. Loomis's office. It's shit all over the floor, papers and such. So that alludes to the fact that, well, what we know that Laurie, we know from the trailer that Laurie Strode has been hiding under a pseudonym, under a new alias, under a brand new identity as Carrie Tate.
Yes, and
she's the headmaster of this new school. So Myers apparently has been on the hunt for 20 years, doing nothing but failing. So, and it's funny because we say, is it mentioned? Is it? Are the sequels, prequels before this mentioned? Are they not mentioned? But when you go through Loomis's office, a lot of the newspaper clippings do refer to the sequels.
Yeah.
So,
and that's why in my head I'm like, this happened. And I just need to figure out the timeline between John, her son, and Jamie, her daughter, who is.
Because apparently they were going to try and make it work. And you know what? I would applaud the attempt.
Yeah.
But apparently they thought it got too convoluted. It got too noisy. So they just said, you know what? Let's keep it simple. Let's streamline the whole acknowledging 4, 5, and 6. She's got a son. She never had a daughter. That never happened. Which at the time was one of the first times that anybody had done something like this. Now, a lot of people are taking liberties with that, right? You got Terminator that was like, retconning everything after 2. You got the new Halloween that's retconning everything after 1. So, and there's more examples, I'm sure, but this was the first attempt. So that was kind of ballsy on their part,
Yeah.
Ballsy, or did it make their job easy? I don't know.
And that's what I feel like it happened is like, it's so gray area because they actually did try and they're like, just cut it out. Like this stuff was filmed. This stuff was done. This was a tie-in to everything, but some scenes got cut out. So now it becomes this like, what world are we in? What actually happened?
Right. And it's tough because we have grown to know the allure, as you mentioned before, of Michael at this point. We know the boogeyman. We know all the things that he can do. So you always got to like show us something different. But if you retcon all the things that we know, then you can repeat the things that we know.
I guess. And that's the other thing is like I said before, your world building, things have to progress. The levels have to go up. Now this is like scaling way back down. And so the movie's very simple and short in its sense.
Yeah, it's short. It's the shortest of the whole series. Its runtime is like 86 minutes, which, for me watching it back recently and reminding myself, I'm like, yeah, thank God it's over.
Yeah, by the time you get to the end, you're like, whew, okay.
But look, the opening is, I agree with Lance. It's done pretty well. They're not in Haddonfield, and actually, we never go to Haddonfield. We're we open in a neighboring town in Illinois, and that's kind of like Haddonfield. Which, by the way, the first thing you see, as far as not credits,
I was hoping you get back to it.
Yeah, is is a woman, like, I guess a babysitter, carving a pumpkin out in the street with these kids, and she is so pissed. She's so mad to be doing it. It just starts with like a knife, and you're like, oh shit, we're gonna go right into it, and then the knife goes into the pumpkin, and it's revealed that it's this girl, and she's like, God damn it, leave me alone. I mean, I can't read her mouth, but the kids are like, do it, pumpkin, jack-o'-lantern me.
What's funny is she just keeps stabbing it. It's the most jagged bullshit cut into a pumpkin I've ever seen. Like, she's not looking, and you're just hoping that she doesn't stab a kid at this point.
I'm hoping that she does, but anyway, I go back to these jerk kids.
Imagine that happening in the background as we pan away from them. We're like, oh no, the action's over here. Actually,
yeah, exactly. Oh, let's hope that she didn't jump. She did not look happy. No. I mean, it's just, your kids are driving me up the dumb wall with this pumpkin shit. I cannot carve a jack-o'-lantern. By the way, jack-o'-lantern carving isn't an easy thing to do. No. It's actually very tedious, and I've done a few in my day, and it's like, I have to really like you if I'm going to do one for you.
Yeah.
So anyway, we cut back. We're back to Nurse Chambers, who's like, okay, Jimmy says that the coast is clear after he went in there and he scared himself and knocked down all her pots and pans, stole her beer, ate a cookie, and threw it back into the dish. It's obvious that if someone was in there, they're probably not there anymore. But then he comes out, tells her everything's fine, and he goes with his friend back to their place. They're happy because they got beers, man. Yeah. They got the beers.
Chink, chink, chink.
And so she goes into the house. Oh, when he tells her that her office had been dealt with, right? That it had been ransacked or it had been messed up. You could tell she's like, my office. I don't. That's not mine. It's Loomis's. But oh shit. Okay. So she goes into her house, and no, it's not
right.
It's not right. Something's up. The door slings open at the back, and that's where I think that's where she gives us the fuck this face. Right?
Yeah. So it's another one. Like,
right. Yeah.
Yet again, we get another one because there's a shadow in the back as well. The door swings open. There's a wall in the distance, and you see a shadow.
Well, we see the shape though, right?
You don't see the shape, but you do see a shadow moving, and you're like, and she goes, fuck that, I'm out again.
Yeah, so she takes off, running back to Jimmy to help her. When she goes into Jimmy's house, what's there but a dead Jimmy?
Yeah.
What is it? Ice skate to the face.
Across the face.
Oh my God, he got dead.
Yeah.
And then when she's trying to leave, opens the back door to see the other friend dead. He falls down. She's on the ground, and we get our first right away look at what is the new Michael Myers, played by Chris Durand, in a mask that looks eerily similar to Halloween 6.
Yeah, sure does.
And it's it might be it.
Yeah. I'm totally okay with it.
It looks scary.
It looks super scary, and we finally get a dark jumpsuit with the mask from 6. 6 is one of my top masks at this point, and they do most of the scene with that mask, which is awesome. And
it is great.
It's filmed dark mostly. It's one of the darker kills of the movie, I believe, the way it's shot at least. It's a fun opening. Like
it's a great opening. It's honestly, it shoots in a way that's like, it's new, but the suspense is still there.
Yeah. It's so far from 95's The Curse of Michael Myers. It's so far from it. It feels like it's a decade in between, just the way it's so polished and the way it looks. And it looks super modern. We're taking a look at it right now. It looks super polished. It looks like it just came out. You know what I mean? Like,
so whatever got lost, right, between that first opening scene to the rest of the movie,
it's just a totally different movie after that. I mean, the intention was, there's a lot of intentions on this script, was completely rewritten how many times. It's supposed to be an all-girls Catholic school, so we kind of get back to the babysitter thing. And then there was going to be a copycat killer, so there was no Michael Myers until maybe the end. He kind of does a face-to-face thing, which we've, I think, seen before at that point. Instead, Jamie Lee Curtis goes, it's a 20-year anniversary. You know, it'd be cool. We're doing a 20-year anniversary movie. The keys. So apparently, just because the date was coming up, she was feeling successful. I think she turned down Halloween 4 because she had just broken out of the Scream Queen thing. Her career was starting to take off in a more serious direction. That's why she declined 4 on top of money, blah, blah, blah. But now at this point, she feels comfortable to come back. So now this script has to be adapted. And now we change over to this private school. She's a teacher. Got to make her a part of this, but we're going to change her up. And I guess it was kind of her idea of like, what happens 20 years after this traumatic experience? So,
and what's so interesting is that whenever you have a new installment of a movie that was first originated in 78, and they're like, oh, they're still making it. What is he walking around with a cane?
Oh, I love that. You said that. We get that so often.
Yeah,
as
always,
fan,
always. What does he have, a cane? I'm like, yes, he has a cane. It's so scary. And he tries to get the senior discount at Denny's all the time. What? No, he was 21 in 78. Yeah. He was 21.
Right.
So what? Okay. So he's 41.
41.
He's 41 in this new movie. Yeah, there are a lot of 41s that can do some shit that I couldn't do at 19 and still can't do. Like
absolutely
push-ups.
not.
So anyway. So, and we're going to see incredible feats of strength by the 41-year-old who's, and I will say that when they got this new Myers, Chris Durand, they went away from the bulkiness, no more Don Shanks,
right.
No more Wilbur. Even Dick Warlock to an extent was bulkier. We're back to a more Nick Castle-ish, but he's short, right?
He looks so small in so many scenes.
They shoot him short at least.
And apparently, the twist is that there's a guy named Charlie in this movie. He was hired on to be the copycat Michael Myers. So I'm guessing that at some point it made sense to have this kind of small Michael Myers. But we got rewritten and took that completely away. They told Charlie, like, hey, your role's been changed. You're still in the movie, but it's totally different.
Wait a minute. You're telling me
yes,
that nobody in the whole production, writer, director, no one learned from Friday the 13th 5? No one learned that everyone hates that shit when you don't give us the killer? They were actually they did learn because they did give us Michael, so they did learn. But they were actually going to go forward with is it Michael? It's actually not.
They started filming this shit with this Charlie guy as the copycat killer, apparently. They had started filming. So I'm guessing the reason we have such a small Michael Myers is because it was supposed to be somebody else, and then we're fucked. And we got to change it on the go, and here's what we get.
I think that's what's so frustrating about this movie is that, like, you have most of the pieces. So just, put together. If you put together a 1,000-piece puzzle, right? And you're missing 10 pieces.
Yeah.
Okay. I still know what the puzzle looks like.
I get the picture.
I get the picture. But you have all the pieces, and you made a bird out of them or something. Like you made something that wasn't supposed to be. There was you have Jamie Lee back. Not only do you have Jamie Lee Curtis Halloween royalty,
yes,
but you have horror royalty in the form of her mother, Janet Leigh.
Yes.
Who actually was a late addition. They were able to get Janet Leigh on to play Laurie's secretary. Did you know that they were considering and was supposed to be PJ Souls to play that?
Really? I didn't know.
They were going to get the original Linda to play Laurie's secretary, but not as Linda,
right?
Which would be kind of weird, right? Then you're so how would you do that? Now you're officially saying all bets are off, nothing exists, because you cannot get the same actor who has died, even though they obviously have not died in real life, to play another character in the same series. You just can't.
We already did that. Halloween 1, Halloween 3, Annie.
And then, Danielle Harris and the Rob Zombie ones. So
there we go. Well, that's a different world of Michael Myers. So
part 3 is a different world then too.
But no.
Anyway, I'll disagree. I disagree with it then as well. You just can't.
It fucks with your head a little bit too much. But we didn't get that.
Yeah, so we didn't. We got Janet Leigh, the Marion Crane from Psycho. Oh my gosh. Jamie Lee Curtis's real mother to play her secretary. We said it. The nods to Psycho are there very much, and they're apparent, and they're in your face thing. Okay, fine. But what we don't like, Yeah, there's Marion Crane. Psycho, whatever. But not only that, you're like, they're saying things from Psycho. They're like, they tell Josh Hartnett's character, John, at one point, he's like, you're going to, 20 years later, you're still going to be living with her. You're going to be running on
a motel in the middle of nowhere,
killing people. And then when we see Janet Leigh get into her car, it's the car from Psycho, and they play the Psycho theme.
It's again one of those. Did you get it? Do you get it?
Do
it's
you
Psycho.
get it? If you don't get it, I'm gonna punch you.
It's Psycho, guys, but it's actually Scream.
Yes, it's incredibly frustrating, Lance. It's incredibly frustrating because. And look, I will be the first to say it is easy to, in retrospect, shit on something that misses the boat. I will say that it is easy to do what I'm doing right now, and it's not easy to write and produce and direct. I get that. Needless to say, this is what the fans do. We judge, and then we say, this is not what we wanted, and this is not even... And nothing is worse than insulting the fans' intelligence.
Yeah,
I will say that from any fandom across the board. If you treat the fans as if they're idiots, they will know, and they will revolt against you, and you'll hear it. So they kind of treated us like we were idiots a little bit, and I hate that shit. Not only is it just a lot of, hey, it's okay. Remember Jamie Lee Curtis from the original? She's in this now. But then there's just like,
it feels like a cash grab at the end of it.
It does, right? with the addition of, and I'm a fan to a certain degree. I don't have a problem with him personally in anything he's done. LL Cool J is in this movie as a security guard. Ronnie, the security. Hold on, I wrote he's an aspiring smut novelist. Isn't that just fabulous? We're introduced to Ronnie because he's on the phone with his girlfriend, or his wife rather. And he's reading, it doesn't matter, but his significant other, and he is reading her his new chapter, his new novel, and it's LL, right? Ladies love Cool James, man. He's giving, he's telling her what's going round, tumultuous, round, melon, breasts. And then she just shits on him over the phone, and she sounds like, what did you say she sounded like?
This is my one issue with her and him, is that she sounds exactly like Brenda Meeks from Scary Movie.
Oh yeah,
the one that's screaming in the movie theater and annoying everyone.
Right.
It's to a T. It sounds like her. I'm like, you didn't have to go that far. I have no issue with Ronnie's character, except for in the end the way he goes or doesn't go. But otherwise, we haven't had this in Halloween, and I'm okay with this character. Is totally fine. Get some true diversity, but it's really just his woman that is just so over the top, and a character that we had probably just seen. I forget when Scary Movie came out, but that is the over the top part for me.
You're right. It's and I'll say personally, you want representation in movies. Any minority, any non-white ethnicity will say it's cool to have representation. You want to see yourself in these characters. If you don't see yourself represented, sometimes you could go crazy. You're like, well, do I not exist in a normal world?
Yeah.
So it's cool to see. I am so pleased to see diverse casting and all that stuff, but to a certain degree, it's almost like it feels a bit like we put a minority in this role. This is good, right? And that's it. They didn't give him enough to do. A lot of his stuff was ad-lib, like more of the comedy stuff. I like the casting. I think it's great. I just think that the character, here's what. Remember, slasher movies at this point are being shit on left and right. They're being like, oh, the big-breasted girl is going to trip up the stairs.
Well, remember, Scream points out all these tropes. So now we're playing right back into them, kind of a thing.
Right. Because what do you know about, right? If there's a Latino, or if there's one black person in the movie, you're like, oh, they're going to get killed first, right? So it's like, it almost feels a little too... We know what the tropes are. I'm speaking for the filmmakers. We know what the tropes are, so we're going to kind of dangle them in front of you, and then we're going to show you that it's not that, but in the most unclever and uninspired way possible.
My complaint about him is like, I wish he was a different character, because the first thing Michael Myers is going to do in a Halloween flick is take out the fucking security guard.
Yep.
He's going to take out took out an entire fucking sheriff's department in one movie. So he's really going to leave the one security guard, the one guy like controlling the fucking gate to get in and out of this, but he's going to leave him behind.
I mean, I would have loved to see Ronnie as they have to have other, because we meet the headmistress as we meet Jamie Lee Curtis's character. We meet Laurie Strode. We meet Carrie Tate. She's the principal for all intents and purposes. We meet is it Alan Arkin?
I forget his name.
We meet her love interest, who's the guidance counselor. I would have loved to see Ronnie as like maybe another, like a history teacher, or like one of film studies. That would have been so cool. I think he could have pulled it off, but
that would have been hilarious. And he's trying to write these smut, but he's teaching
that would be
kids
so
how to make
funny.
film.
But I guess whatever. Even then, a security guard is not a bad idea. But like maybe
give us two.
Make him a sheriff. Make him the deputy of the little town that this place lives in. I don't know. He just felt a little too. It felt like cannon fodder. It felt like, oh, this is just going to be somebody we're going to write for Michael to kill, and I didn't particularly like that. I do like him. I like the character. Yeah. He's funny with his. It's a funny thing that he's an aspiring smut novelist, and he's just on the phone, the cellular, but no, it's the portable phone. He's just on this like huge wireless phone that's just, and he's just. It's funny. It's funny because she shits on him and he's like, come on, I'm trying here. But
there's something natural about him in this film, at least.
He does give a certain there's an unforced sort of feeling about it. I just wish he was given a little bit more. But the thing is, like, he is a victim of a jump scare. So we all are living through him because Josh Hartnett's character John is trying to leave campus so they can go pick up liquor because they're gonna. Okay, there's a big camping trip being planned for all the students at the school, and everyone's going, but John is not allowed because it is established early that Carrie, Laurie Strode, is very overprotective of him. Mm-hmm. It's established she's divorced, but he's 17 and she's just being very protective, right? So he's not allowed to go, and he kind of resents her. There's a bit of a back and forth between them. So John seems to kind of push the fact that his mom's the principal, right? Yeah. And so he goes as Ronnie is reading the smut novel. John comes from behind and just scares the shit out of him, and he says what everyone has always said in a movie: "You scared the shit out of me." I mean, he's dead because you're like, "You son of a bitch! Like, why are you doing this?" So, also jump scares. There are so many jump scares.
Yeah,
fake outs. I call them more so because I don't mind it if it's progressing the movie and it's the villain. Like in a possession movie or whatever. Like the jump scares are always like progressing the villain or the monster, but this one is just like it's just to get the audience, and I think that's bull. But anyway,
yes,
that was a funny part. I love that part.
Yeah, I love it too. And again, like you said, if he was just a different character or something, like Ronnie is great in that sense. I liked having John in this movie. I think it was cool to have that sense of like our old Laurie Strode has something else to protect, and we see like the terror. She has the terror dreams and wakes up screaming. So she's very affected by this, probably on prescription drugs. I think
she's on quite a few.
She's on quite a few pills. She drinks a lot.
Oh yeah,
she's drinking wine and all this kind of stuff.
Wait, she has the all-time chug of what is probably Chardonnay or
I think it is Chardonnay.
Yeah, can I get another Chardonnay, please? Right
today.
Yeah. It's just fun. Dude, first of all, when one has a drinking problem, the one thing that you should not do is try and embarrass them about it, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm at a restaurant and I ask the freaking waiter, please, can I have another double a Crown Royal or whatever the hell I asked for. And he looks at my glass because it's still full. I'm going to be like, did you not hear me? I said, what the hell's going on here? Right. So she's having lunch with the guidance counselor, and she's got her glass is still kind of full, and she asked for another Chardonnay, and he just kind of like looks at her glass like, but you're not finished with that one. And Jamie Lee, in true, she can do it as better than anyone. She's like, today. And he's like,
today.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And she chugs that. Look, have you chugged wine ever? It's not what you're supposed to do.
I can regretfully say I have tried.
Yeah, you're not supposed to. It's not. It's a sipper, but she chugs it because she's trying to get a quick buzz on, during lunch.
And it's fucking hilarious.
She just chugs it, and then it's all while the guidance counselor went to the restroom and stuff. She's like, let me get this in real quick, and the dude and then he's like, you know what? I've already pissed her off. Let me give her a healthy pour.
Oh, yeah.
That shit is almost to the top.
Yes. Yes. She downs that thing, gets the next one. I think she even takes a sip of the next one, too.
Oh, yeah. She's like, oh, okay, I'm good. I'm good.
Whew, okay.
Yeah. And the town's a buzzing because it's Halloween. I think we see the same fake out scare in Scream, right? Or one of the Screams where it might be 3? I don't know. I'm not sure. It's where because the girl gets the kids run and they scare the window or whatever.
Oh,
and you
right.
remember Scream? This girl,
yeah.
He's like,
it's exactly that was yet another Scream portion. I know you're talking about. The Reaper goes after this little girl.
Yes, exactly that one.
It's a total Scream movie. The one part that doesn't feel like Scream is the girl where he gets his truck or car.
Oh yes,
and
I have that written. that is
thoughts.
One of that is. I have that written that is one of my favorite moments. But it's also a moment that I can recall yelling in the theaters, "Oh, you little shit!" Because let me tell you why. It's a scene where a mom and her young daughter are stopping at a rest stop because they have to use the restroom, and she's in this, like, I can only describe it as it looks like the bus that the Creeper drives in Jeepers Creepers.
It's pre-Creeper bus truck.
It's like a truck hearse, maybe
it's like an old ice cream truck from like the 1950s,
decommissioned
60s, something
ice cream truck.
Why the fuck would this mom be driving that? Who knows?
They live off the land. They sell ice cream and it's green, because the truck. I don't know where I was going, but anyway, they stop at this rest stop and they see that the women's bathroom is locked or out of commission. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And Casey was the little shook. She's just like, Mom, come on, I gotta go, right? And then the mom improvises, and being a mom, she's like, okay. So she checks the boys' room, and she's like, hello, and they're about to go in there, and Casey, no, that's the boys' room. Well, the boys are just gonna have to deal with it. But when she looks back at her car, you notice that the car that Michael commandeered is parked out there. Yeah. So someone's there, but it didn't answer when she asked if anybody was in the restroom.
And so mom notices it, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, she has a reaction to it. Like, oh, shit, there's somebody else around here
my daughter has to go. I kind of have to go. Let's just go, So she props the door open with a big stone, and, they go into separate stalls, and Casey's, she's like humming and stuff, and she is adorable. I'll give her that. She's adorable little, chunk face. It's cute. But then while they're in the stalls, the door closes, it slams close, and it's kind of scary, and the mom brushes it off. It's just the door. Don't worry about it. And what you see is while they're using the restroom, the mom puts her purse down, and someone reaches and grabs the purse.
Yeah.
And it's Michael. Michael grabs the purse, and she's freaking out. Not only is she, vulnerable because she's on the toilet, but her daughter's over to the next stall and still oblivious to everything. This is one of the parts that I will give H2O forever credit, because it was very creepy.
Yeah.
Very creepy. It was one of my favorite, and very... not a lot of bright, shiny moments, but this moment is bright in the sense that she's looking through the cracks in between the door of the stall. She's still behind, and when she's looking, she sees Michael. He has taken her purse. he starts walking and he looks right back at her through the cracks, almost to say like, "You want to do something?"
Yeah. Don't
Whoa!
you dare come out
Michael,
of that
shit
stall.
is scary.
Yes, that scene is pretty cool, and the fact that it is just terrifying. You don't know what's going to happen when you're watching it for the first time. Like, what kind of Michael are we getting? We still don't quite know. We got a pretty brutal one to start, and this is like the second time we're seeing him.
Yeah.
What kind of Michael are we going to get? Is he really going to go after this little girl?
Which she fakes us out, and the reason I call her a little shit is because of this. She starts screaming bloody murder. She's like, ah! So the mom runs out to go save her kid and opens the door, and there's Casey on the toilet. And she's like, spiders! You little shit! You scared the shit out of all of us. The mom is like, oh God, you're okay. No, I'm screaming. I hate you. You made me shit my pants because I thought Michael was about to kill this poor little girl. So anyway, Michael takes their car and now he's got a new vehicle.
What's interesting about this scene is there was there's a lot of opportunity in this scene to do a lot of different things with Michael, and we went one way. And what's funny is there's not much salvageable about this movie, but this, in my opinion, is revisited later on in the franchise.
No problem, because they get it right.
Well, I thought they got it right the first time, but we're gonna move on.
They get it super right. They get it ultra right.
We'll see about that, but yeah. So
I mean, I don't have a lot other bright moments. I mean, I don't think that it's necessary like to go trope by trope about who gets killed, when they get killed. You know, it's worth a watch if you're a completionist and you got to watch the series.
I will say there's a cool fall. There's not a Halloween vibe, but there's a cool fall vibe to it. If you like,
I do remember saying I wanted to go to school there.
Yeah,
like because it's a private school and you get to live on the dorm. It's like you're in high school, but you're treated like a college student. I thought that was always very, very cool.
That's awesome. And it does give you kind of that different vibe. Everyone's wearing kind of the same thing. I'm sure you have comments about what John's wearing. And how
he shouldn't be wearing, he's probably a medium or an extra medium or whatever, but he's wearing a 3X shirt. Like the sleeve, like you see these hems are right here. Like they are so far down on, I'm like, okay, I get it. It's the 90s. His hair's not combed. Two people could fit in his clothes.
What's so funny to me about the hair combing thing is Josh Hartnett was actually filming The Faculty at the exact same time, and in The Faculty he's kind of like this bad boy, whatever. He's got the scraggly hair. Well, he's filming H2O at the same time. They are brushing his hair, going, no, like you got to have a brush and all this kind of stuff. He goes, great, I'm gonna put a hat on now. And they're like, fuck, we got to redo it. And then he's like, okay, all right, I see you. So he waits until the director is about to say, and action. And then he scruffs his hair up and goes, okay. And we're back in the scene. And the makeup department is just livid with him throughout it. There's actually 1 or 2 scenes where you can kind of see his hair is brushed just slightly. And you're like, you missed 1 or 2. But yes, he's this very like grungy boy. And he's kind of a cool bad boy heroine in this. It's very different. It's very late 90s. Again, Scream, slasher time.
Well, sure. I mean, which is funny because about the hair, it was apparently a topic of a point of contention on the set because that line that Ronnie says to him when he lets him out,
yes.
You know, comb your hair. That line was ad-libbed by LL.
Yes,
that was so cool. It was ad-libbed by him. That was apparently people were like, "Your hair, dude. Your hair. Your hair." Your hair. He's like, he didn't want to be a movie star. Apparently, Josh Hartnett did, and so after each take, he would put that beanie on, as the way Jamie Lee Curtis describes it, as a way to like return back to his promise that he wanted to act, he wanted to be in films, but he didn't want the stardom that came with it. Which kind of tracks with how he's been throughout his career. You know, the dude still works, but it's always right before it being like super super popular.
Yeah.
I mean, you got your Penny Dreadful series. He was in the Sin City movie. And, he was in a lot of movies, but then now he's kind of stayed on the TV series.
Yeah, he did Penny Dreadful after quite a long hiatus. And he even kind of said, like, there was nothing that was right until it was right. And Penny Dreadful was right. And
I love Penny Dreadful.
Me too. It's great. He's great. He's a great actor. I mean, there's a lot of good actors in this movie.
Yeah, Michelle Williams is in it. Future Academy Award winner. She plays Josh Hartnett's John Tate's love interest girlfriend. At one point, they are going to... So this trip, he's going to skip out on the trip. And him, her, Michelle Williams, and the two his friend and his girlfriend, the two couple. There are two couples that are going to skip the whole trip by like making up the fever story. Someone can't go because they didn't turn in an assignment. They're all going to stay and have their own Halloween party and act like teens and sex it up.
Yeah, that's right.
But it was he makes this like little under the basement party center, and he does it like it's actually pretty nice.
It's cool. It's grungy. It's like teenage. It's cool.
They're all hanging out, and of course you have to hear "Hooray for the child in you." They're like listening to Creed, and then I'm just like laughing the whole time. It's like, yeah, it's really on the nose, and I'm like, so it's hard because now you're watching. Here comes Michael Myers. He gonna kill. What's this life for? Anyway, I mean, very of the times. You laugh at it now.
I'm laughing at your impression more than anything. I never really thought much about the song until we get that. Again, everything is punched in your face in this movie. The Go-Go Dolls or the Goo Goo Dolls.
The Go-Go Dolls were there too. Funny, there was an alternate scene. Everyone's naked.
The Goo Goo Dolls posters in the background as Scream 2 is playing on the TV, which you had mentioned was.
Oh yeah, it was added in later. Of course, I mentioned Kevin Williamson was. They were trying to. Everyone was trying to. Nod to each other, nod to each other, nod to each other. It's almost like a bunch of friends got the keys to the car, right? They got a chance to make a movie, and they're like, hey, remember, I know. Look what I remember. You did it. I did it for you, and it's for you. It's for you, guy. They're watching Scream 2, but apparently that was not what the girls are watching in their bedroom. They're watching So I Married an Axe Murderer, which because Mike Myers is in it. Mike Myers, remember? And they just superimposed or they put over that Scream 2 footage. Do you want to die tonight, Cece? How was that? Was that all right?
That was pretty damn good. I'll probably add some bass to that a little bit later.
You can do it. I'm okay with that.
The one thing we got to talk about, again, the mask. There's quite a few masks. With the H6 mask.
Why is there quite a few masks? Why?
Why? Because we got to. There always has to be a bunch of masks or a bunch of versions of the mask or whatever. We have our first. Is it our first CGI mask? Which is awful. He looks like a fucking cartoon for a scene because we couldn't reshoot. We didn't have the set anymore, so we couldn't reshoot that, so we had to draw on his face CGI. And also we're getting a lot of eye action, a lot of a lot of eye in this Michael Myers, and it's so bad. It's so distracting from any Michael Myers scene. There's only one cool movement that I remember, because you don't see his eyes, you don't see much motion. He gets hit over the head by Jamie Lee Curtis with the fire extinguisher.
I know.
Yeah, he gets knocked in the head. He falls down. He has this cool little he pushes himself out and looks over at her. That is the coolest thing Michael Myers does probably in the whole movie.
Well, some would say, Lance, that the coolest part is when a 41-year-old Michael Myers has been sustainingly holding himself up in the air by his left hand holding a pipe in this old school, just holding himself up, waiting for Laurie to walk under him, and it was in the trailers, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, Michael is not on his feet. He's doing something new."
That was never a cool scene, and then we had to redo it again in the next film for some unknown reason.
See, I couldn't do that with someone holding me. He's over here just. And you know what? We're gone from the he's pure evil thing. That he is 100% human in this one. First of all, about the mask, we have the eye holes are this big.
Yes,
they are this big. It's like if you cut I don't know, if you were making your own mask and you start. You're trying to cut a hole and you're like, fucked it up. So you got to make it bigger.
Yeah.
And it's like they kept on. It's like when you do sleeveless shirts.
Yes.
And you're like, screwed it up. And then it ends up over here or whatever. Yes. So it's like.
We have so much. It's like we get the mask up here and then we get the mask down here. You get cheekbone, human cheekbone coming out of the eye hole of the mask. And there's so much human to him. You see expression, which you're not supposed to. It's the shape.
Yeah.
So it's like you totally forgot who Michael is. And I think this is all because they cut the trailer with the first mask And it's like that weird baby doll mask, and everyone went, "What the fuck is that?"
Baby.
He kind of looks like a doll throughout the whole thing.
Well, right, because they didn't know where they again, they're going through this. Is he the copycat? Is it really Michael? Again, it's a mess, guys. Like, there's so much to unpack with this that, like, you almost just got to watch it for surface value and just like, hey, I want to see Michael doing cool kills. And, you know, you get some. What's the coolest kill in this? Like the most unique kill. Because we got him stalking one of the teens and just kind of stabs her. He slices the kid from Jumanji's, who's like anyway, he's like a shoplifter and a Lothario. He's
French, remember?
Oh, right.
Apparently he's French. So, he's a French student.
I guess what it is, it's the guidance counselor. Because it's just a rehash of my favorite kill from H2.
I guess it has to be. And also, we also haven't mentioned it in here, but we mentioned it to each other that a lot of people survived this film for God knows what reason.
Yeah, look, guys, too many people survive. Real quick, just so you know, this is the one time that Laurie Strode has decided enough is enough. And it's almost like I could feel it coming from Jamie personally. There's when you could connect to that much anger, because she's mad. She's like pissed off. She's decided, I'm not going to run anymore. I'm going to fight. Right. Yeah. So she is able to save John and Michelle Williams. And she sends them off in that Chevy Blazer, baby.
That's right.
To leave the school where they've survived being attacked by Michael. He's killed the guidance counselor by redoing the Nurse Jill kill from part 2, where he stabs and raises him up. He's kind of convulsing and
he's
stuff.
He's a big dude.
Yeah, too. Yeah. So they think that they killed Ronnie, LL Cool J, by firing a gun at him because they think it's Myers. So a lot has been happening. She gets the kids to safety and says, you know what? You guys go. I'm going to fight. I'm tired of this shit. I got to face my fears. You know, there's that theme earlier about fate and stuff. And there's like the pickup of the music, which again I think was a bad choice from the beginning. It's orchestra. It feels like there's no danger, or if there's any danger, it's all surface danger.
It's like an action thriller or something. Like it just feels like the soundtrack of every movie in the late 90s.
Right.
There's nothing about it that feels Halloween or.
Well, I love the Halloween movie, and if you're going to give me a new version of it, then okay, I'm gonna listen, but it just doesn't add to the suspense. It's like there's like a fucking trombone. What the hell is going on here? So
I think after everything happens, they play a version of the old Halloween tune modernized, and it almost has like this like sympathetic sadness to the Halloween tune. And at that point, you are kind of feeling sad that you just watched all of this happen.
Laurie fights back, and I was mentioning, Michael lowering himself from a pipe that he's inexplicably been holding on, waiting for her to cross. He didn't know she was going to come back, and then it's high up there. Does he have now like super jumping? Anyway, and all that is me thinking and giving it way too much credit. So she fights back, and boy does she stabs him a lot with a knife, and is about to land the final blow after he's fallen off. And what happens? We see Ronnie come back to life, because when he was shot at, the bullet grazed him. And here's where I was screaming again, because Laurie has stabbed Michael so many times, dropped him down, and he's lifeless on the ground, and she is standing triumphant. She's got the big ass knife again, and I think she's going to stab him straight in the head. It's fine to me. Do it, right? Live your truth, girl. Go for it. And she's about to stab, and Ronnie comes and just stops her from it, and he's like, he's dead. Bitch, who cares? There's a serial killer. Let me run over him with a caterpillar bulldozer if I want to. Why are you? And then I'm watching it with my fiance, and she's like, why is he doing that? And I'm like, trying to, I don't know why, but I was trying to like save the movie. I'm like, maybe he was trying to save her humanity. And then I went, nah, that ain't it.
You know what they did by accident? You saw my reaction to this. They did it by accident. They captured the stupid ass Loomis pop scare that we had been getting movie after movie after movie. We got it in Halloween 6. Oh, Deborah, you know, like yeah, we get on accident. We get a Loomis pop scare from fucking LL Cool J. I think that kind of sums up the film right there.
Yeah, LL Cool J stops Jamie Lee Curtis from stabbing Michael Myers with a fatal blow by giving us the traditional Dr. Loomis jump scare. That's about it. That should have been the pumpkin spice. But of course, she's not satisfied. They put him in a body bag. Yeah. That's Karate Kid. And she's like, she hijacks the van, takes him down the road, and of course he's alive. He gets out of the body bag. She breaks. He flies out of the window. She's still not satisfied because she is us, as in the sense of like, saw that in part 4.
Yeah,
saw that in part 6. Saw that here. So she is us in the sense like he's lying motionless on the floor after flying off the car. She's like, get up, and he does. He gets up and he just looks at her like, oh, come on, sis. Let me kill you already. And we get to the final scene where after falling down the hill, she's got him. He's pinned between a broken so Holly Hill. Yeah, get me here. I'm gonna do. I think I need to do it. So it's like they're falling down the hill. She manages to get loose. She took the axe with her that she was wielding earlier, and he's rolling down the hill. He falls on this like tree branch that's horizontally, and here comes this van. He tries to get out of the way. He turns, and it just pins him in between. And this is the choice that he does.
It's like he got electrocuted or some shit.
It's just, and then it's CGI'd, so it looks even worse. Ay Dios. So she, Jamie Lee Curtis, as in Laurie Strode, Carrie Tate, comes upon Michael, who's pinned and still alive. Obviously, she knows, broken back maybe.
I love this realization that he has. He puts his hands on his head. What the fuck just happened?
Yeah, he does one of these when she calls him. She's like, Michael, and he's like, what? It's almost like, is my mask still on? How's my hair?
Who the fuck am I?
He checks his hair. That's what it is. He's like,
he looks like he's on a 10-day binge and just woke up.
Yes. So this is maybe a nod to H5, if there was any reason,
I guess.
The reach out. And Jamie and Michael kind of having that moment. So Michael's reaching out to, and I meant Jamie Lloyd at that when I said that. She's reaching out to Laurie, and I'm your brother. Don't do this. They have a moment. She gets close enough because she knows you're gonna get me, sort of thing. So like I think the fingers do about that much right there, and then she just recoils, and you see him still with his eye holes about this big now, looking at her, so sad. This hair, by the way, in this mask, he's like it's a perm, right?
It's a perm, but it's like a perm on like a 55-year-old man kind of a thing.
Oh yeah, it's a receding hairline blowout.
Yes.
It's like Beetlejuice.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
It is Beetlejuice with a haircut, I think.
It's Beetlejuice dyed and trimmed a little bit. So she's not gonna take it. We're not taking it anymore. She slices his head right the fuck off with an amazing axe swing. Then we hear, like Lance just mentioned, the original Halloween theme, which is what we needed. It almost feels like it's like old Yeller in the back of the barn sort of thing. Like put us out of our misery and chop all our heads off.
Yeah, because the music starts almost at the exact moment that we fade to black, and it's like, oh yeah. There was an entirely different soundtrack to this, and you can hear it. I don't think it is better than what we got, this weird like generic Hollywood soundtrack.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's quite what I would have gone for. I don't know. It's still not where we needed it to be.
You don't need to modernize everything. You just don't. Some things are better left untouched, and I think the score is just as much that as anything. So this whole movie got the late 90s treatment, just plastered over it. It's just, if this seemed like a cash grab, which is what we kind of wrote it off as,
right?
If this seemed like a cash grab, then what follows Halloween Resurrection is a heist.
Yes.
Like you said, yeah, a heist. This just there was no real humanity to it. I feel like the characters were still like some of them were trying to be well thought out, but like because it's so many directions are trying to come into play, it just almost feels like you're trying to navigate your way through like a Rubik's cube. It's just not. It's not there.
Yeah. Halloween 5 was a huge mess, and it looks like a huge mess. This feels like a better put together mess, but I feel like they had all the same trouble. Like this script was redone as they're shooting. We don't know who the fucking killer is. Laurie comes. There's just so many things. It just feels like just as big a mess as Halloween 5. It's just put together better. Maybe they kind of learned a lesson from it, I guess.
I mean, it's a better director for sure than Halloween 5. You know, this guy has his credits. I love Friday the 13th 3 and 2. Yeah. I know for sure he did 2, and I'm not sure about 3, but I know he did 2, and I love it. You know, that's Pillowcase, Jason. In case anybody was wondering. Worried. I'm so worried. Which Friday is that? Is this worth your time? You get to see the genesis of Josh Hartnett's acting career. You get to see Michelle Williams in her Dawson's Creek era acting out. You get to see mother and daughter horror royalty on screen. That's so much fun to see Janet Leigh and Jamie Lee Curtis together. And you get to see L.L. Reid's smut novels. So
yeah, he's kind of playing the same role that he played in Deep Blue Sea. The chef.
Man looks like a shark's fin.
He's kind of playing the same role there. So there's that. He's fun. It's fun.
And you get to see a beloved staple of the series of the Halloween series, and Nurse Chambers meet her demise by Michael. And you get to see Joseph Gordon-Levitt in it as a little punk kid. So
probably there's the best part. Like in this, you're going to like the first probably 10 minutes of this movie.
Yeah.
And you know what the best part is? It's super short from there on out. So you can just choke it down.
Just chug it. Chug it like a Chardonnay.
There it is. All right, Danny, how many Chardonnays do you give this movie then?
Oh, Chardonnays? I need about 10 to get through it again.
And how many butcher knives?
Kitchen knives. Let's see. Kitchen knives. This one gets... I'm trying to remember real quick. Did I give Halloween 6 a 2?
I believe it was a 2, and 5 was a 1.
5 was a 1, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I give this one I'll give it a 2 as well.
Okay. Are we still doing halves? Are we talking about?
Yeah, because I was between 1.5 and 2, but I'll give it a 2.
I'm gonna give it a 2.5, only because I gave 5 a 2. And that was only because of nostalgia purposes, because I grew up watching it and thinking, I don't know, it's Michael and Daniel Harris. Who cares?
Sure.
But I was excited to watch this. I like the opening. There's something to it, I guess.
It
gets worse.
Yeah.
It does. It gets a lot worse from here. So I'll give it a 2.5. It'll be my only half score.
It gets probably a lot worse from here until there is a saving grace at the in the most current iteration. So that's fun, guys.
Right.
Watch it. It's fun in a sense, and it's a short time. So grab a Chardonnay and chug it down and have fun with it.
Yeah. And we'll see you next time for the resurrection.
Do I don't.
It'll be a short episode, maybe, yes. Or it might be comedy the whole way. I don't know.
It might be our longest episode.
I don't know. Resurrection is next for Slasher's Paradise. I'm Lance. That's Danny. Give him the peace sign, Danny.